But we're here to talk about LinkedIn, so let's do that. LinkedIn is I think if you do work with business to business, it is the premier platform that you should be on. It is the most powerful people search that is available. There's nothing more powerful when it comes to looking for people who do business. The other thing about LinkedIn is you can get right to the point to a certain extent. It's still like if we met face-to-face. If we met face-to-face, I wouldn't just say, hey, please buy my stuff, right? There's a warm-up process. We're going to get to know one another. We're going to get maybe we have some coffee at some point and begin to work towards how we can help one another in business, and then eventually possibly we get business from one another or we get referral business. I'm really big on building those partnerships. It's one of the reasons I started the roundtables. I wanted people that I could trust implicitly to do business with. So if somebody needs that service, I wanted to know that they were going to deliver a high quality of service that was second to none. And you know this in doing business, that those folks are hard to find. But when you do, you hang on to them. And so we developed those connections with LinkedIn, and it's the most powerful tool for finding and then developing that real close strategic partnership in a business. So, does social media really work? Any thoughts? Does it work for you? A little, some, yes. I'm seeing some nodding of heads. So, old school selling, you guys have probably done some of this, cold calling, emails, buying leads, all of those kinds of things. So new social selling includes LinkedIn business to business, personal engagement online, and then education through your website, social media, etc., about what your product is and how people can connect with you. And here's the bigger piece that I would say to that. It's no longer one direction flow. It's two direction flow. So you may have a very robust social media, maybe a Facebook, and people comment and people engage and people are talking back to you in the business world, and they have a voice now. The consumer has more voice now than they have ever had in business. So we can't tune that out. We can't ignore that. So these are not bad. Don't get me wrong. I'll never say to abandon old unless it just doesn't work. I say merge the two together. Make them work together cohesively. Take the old, marry it with the new, and come up with a better way of doing business with today's tools. 82% of your prospects are on social media. So 82% of the people that you might get to do business with, they're on some type of social media. 73% of salespeople who use social media are outperforming those who aren't, and you can parallel businesses to that. As far as how successful businesses are being, those who have adapted, understood LinkedIn are doing it much, much better. And then we asked the question, everybody's on Facebook, so shouldn't I put all my efforts there? You know, there's a 1.3 billion people, everybody almost that you know is using Facebook. So shouldn't you spend all your time there? Well, maybe not, because it really is complex in how you go about it, and most people, I would say 8 out of 10 do it really wrong, and in many cases do more harm than good. So you really have to know what you're doing there, and it's not at all like you would in a normal business environment. 2 people join LinkedIn every second. So it is a fast, very fast growing platform. Average household income, this is important, is $109,000. Here's the other piece to that. The average education far outpaces any other social platform. So you have a more educated, higher income customer or clients or strategic partners that are on the platform for you to work with. So for many businesses, would you rather work with somebody whom, a business owner who's in this category or substantially lower? Well, they may not be able to afford your services if they're not on LinkedIn. And I'm not saying that I'm just saying it's a more effective, and you have a more affluent clientele who is serious about doing business on LinkedIn. People have 2 times more confidence in information that they find on LinkedIn, meaning there's not a lot of spammy junk. It's typically business-related articles, things that you can trust, things that are true, written by people who are experts in the field of business. Like anywhere, there is some clutter, some fluff, but it's limited. Not like on Facebook, where I would say maybe it's the opposite. It's mostly fluff with a little bit of truth hidden behind there somewhere. Completely opposite on LinkedIn. You can trust most everything you read and see. 277 times more effective. LinkedIn is 277 more effective for lead generation. I close more business off of contacts that we originally connected on LinkedIn. Because, again, we're there to do business. We're there to talk about business. So we don't have to do as much of the fluffy relational side of things like I have to do on Facebook. And I'm not down on Facebook. It works really well for me, but you have to be very strategic in how you go about that. So I assume that I could trust that maybe you're willing to hear a little bit more about LinkedIn and say, maybe Facebook is not the perfect number 1 platform for you. So you already have a LinkedIn account. You're ready to go, right? You're just ready to get more leads. Not yet. We got a little bit of work to do yet. And so we got to get your profile right. This is important. You've got this, and it's one of the reasons I printed this out. The data that's there is really important as far as what you're going to put on your LinkedIn profile. So if you notice, I don't know if you can see this, and the guys online, when you come to a profile that looks like that, what immediately pops to mind? Is it really a person? Why didn't they put a picture in there? Why isn't there any information in there? So it definitely goes to a level of trust in today's world. One thing you need to know is that people check you out online before they do business with you almost all the time now. So you want what you look like online to look professional, and it really, really matters. You want, that. I have a few more photos here. So here's another one. This is a designated broker. I don't, again, kind of somewhat the same thing. That, for me, wouldn't be the way I would go about it. Here's somebody that's a general manager that's as well Santa. I like this one. This is one of my favorites. Transportation LLC. I'm wondering if I have to ride the horse or the cow. I'm not sure. So I'm just an example, semi-professional. Looks like me, right? You recognize me. It's not 25 years old when I had a mullet or whatever else that is. It looks like me. It's really me. And those comfortable, professional-looking headshots are important to have on all of your social media channels. And then we'll talk more about your description. So this is what my profile looks like. And now I'm going to walk around here. It's very important that you see that now not only do you have a headshot, but LinkedIn's expanded to all of this space behind that you can utilize. And right now you're free to say and do anything you want there. You can talk about your brand, you can talk about your stuff, but again, this represents me as a business owner. This happens to match all of the branding that I currently have on all of my other business channels. So my YouTube channel, my Google Plus channel, my Facebook channel all has this stuff to represent, hey, we're in the desert, this is where I live, this is where I do business. And then we're going to jump to some of the descriptions here in just a minute. But look professional, whatever that means to you, and make sure that you fill out as much as you can on your profile. So if you'll look, 120 characters in your hot tagline here. You have 120 characters, and it's very important that you not tell me that you're CEO, executive, blah, 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 of whatever, okay? I know most of you have this wrong right now, and it's okay. Most people do, but we're going to get better at this. We're going to do better, and one of the things is to say what it is that you do, especially in the context of if I were searching for something on LinkedIn or maybe even on Google as far as what you do and serving the public or serving your constituents, clients, whatever they may be, what are those things that you help people with? So I'm an online marketing speaker. That's primarily how I drive traffic. I get in front of audiences, I speak, I teach, and then eventually I do business with a lot of people. But I'm also a social media strategist, a business marketing specialist, and I help you find and keep customers. So a little bit of what I do, and it is who I am, but it's not title driven. It's a little bit more consumer driven as to it makes sense to their ears versus executive CEO of whatever my wife tells me I have to do. Okay, so job title and description. Make it just like the title, reader-centered, not self-centered. So, what is it that if somebody were to hire you, that you would say to them in their language? That's the important thing. What language would they use if they were searching for what you do? Keep in mind, your LinkedIn profile, unless you've turned the security settings way down and don't want to be found, is extremely Google searchable. So when you say what you do in your title and description, you want to put some bullet points of the services you provide in that description. You have a ton of space there. Include keywords, your work experience, past work, and skills. And in past work, the way that works correctly is you fill out a job description for each different job that you've had, and those will all be listed in the order of when you worked, like a resume. You have 1,000 characters on each job title and description. So you can put a lot of content in there talking about the specific services that you provide to your clientele. And make sure you use all of them that you can. I like to break it up, so I'll put a bullet list in of my services. I offer this, so I do web design, I do social media training, I do social media setup, and so those are all in bullets on my profile so that people can, again, not only find me, but what is it that I'm going to do for them? So here you see, again, owner, maker, speaker, consultant, social media strategist, and you'll see I have a brief description, and then I move into bullet form here of talking about SEO and the different things that I do for companies as well as teach to people. So here's your profile cheat sheet. Everything you need to know in one sheet. So put a big star circle on this. Your headline, that professional headline, that's first thing people see and read about you. 120 characters. Use them all. Use them well. What you do, not who you are. Job title and description, 1,000 characters. And then you move into your summary section, which is still very searchable, 2,000 characters that you can say, what are your skills? What certifications do you have? You're going to list your schools somewhere else. So this is an area where I'm involved with this nonprofit, and I'm really passionate about what we're doing a year. We do this big golf tournament every year, and we love serving the community, blah, blah, whatever that may be for you. So the round, complete description of who you are as a business owner or a professional man or woman. Yes, sir.
Question, do you think that people, when they go to a LinkedIn account, they really want to know everything about your interests and things that are, not really critical to them needing to do business with you?
I would say this. So Bob, for instance, Bob's transactions are big transactions. So they're not small transactions. So if I'm going to do business with Bob, I'm going to do a little bit deeper research on who Bob is as a person. And everybody wants to do business with a person, not a business or a company. It's you, the person. So provide it, and I've had it make the difference in closing some business because some people do read the fine print. And they do want to know who I am and what I'm involved with. And am I a person that they can trust to do business with? So I'm going to provide them with as much roadmap as I can possibly give. And it depends on the industry for sure. And I would say another, caveat would be security. Make sure you're framing this to where you're not putting yourself at risk. Don't drop your cell phone number or your home address in there, that kind of thing, to where you keep yourself safe. But I think it's important. More is better on all social networks. When it comes to filling in the blanks, fill in all of the blanks, because especially LinkedIn, very searchable. Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to mention too, not only on the business aspect side of it, but if you're looking for a job, I actually just hired a guy, and I went to his LinkedIn profile, and I looked at what he's volunteering, and that clinched.
So, good point. So again, for those online, she went to, and recently in interviewing a person, went to the profile, looked at his hobbies and some other interests that he had, and that made the deal. That closed the deal on whether she trusted him to hire him. So it makes a difference. Spend a little bit of time, and in some cases, I actually, a couple years back, contracted a great writer to help me craft this in a way that was meaningful and made sense, and it was also searchable by people who would care about what I do. So, connections. You get connection requests from people you don't know. Should you accept them? The answer is, it depends. Most importantly, what is your strategy? What is it that you're going to be doing on LinkedIn, and why? That would answer it. If you are very strategic and you're only looking for referral type business, then probably not strangers. You want to meet people you know. If there's not an opportunity to grow the relationship in a referral context, then I'm probably not going to just connect with everybody. Now, there's another side of that. If I need to do vast search and I need to be able to dig deep and really find people, the more people I'm connected to, the better chance that can happen. So there's two different strategies, very narrow or very broad. Neither one is wrong. They're just different based on your needs as a business. I do the very broad a lot just so that I can do demos like today, because when we begin to look at some live searches here in a little bit, I want to be able to see who I know that knows this person that's going to get me past the gatekeeper so I can close business with a decision maker. So that bigger list makes a difference in that context, so I can get around that admin or whoever is keeping me from connecting to a CEO or a marketing director. Yes?
Is there a way you recommend to go if you're transitioning into a completely different market per se?
Mm-hmm.
With regard to both connections and also how you fill out your profile, once you maybe create a separate profile with connections.
No, you'd never create a separate profile. I would say just create a new job listing. It can even be the same thing, just new, or you can revise the old one and begin to connect and target those different people based on the things that we discover as far as how to search for them. And we'll do a live search here in just a minute. So it's up to you. It depends on what your strategy is going to be as far as who you connect with. The people you may know, my rule is this. I connect with them if I know them. If I don't know them, I don't connect with them. But again, there's no complete right or wrong there. The only exception to that is I read who they are and what they do, And hopefully they've filled that out really well, because that'll help me a ton. And if they have filled it out, then I am strategic about, I know the kinds of business who are also business to business that can give me a lot of referrals. So I may not know them, but I may add them to my leads list or my hot list of somebody I'd like to know. I'm not going to request a connection right away, and we'll walk through that process here in just a few minutes as well. You have your privacy settings set to only allow invitations from people who know your email address, and you can turn that on. Is that a setting you should use? Yeah, if you don't want to connect with people and you really only want people who have your email to connect with you on LinkedIn, by all means, turn that setting on in your settings section, and we'll look at where that's at in just a bit. But I would say pretty rare the person that would be an optimal way to go, because in most cases you're looking for the right connections, whether it's a customer or a strategic partner that can refer you a lot of business. So LinkedIn strategy, we're going to talk about advanced search. We're going to talk about saving searches. Once you find a great, really juicy search that delivered you a lot of the right kind of people, you can save those. We tagging leads, creating a hot list. Basically, it's a lead generation platform if you use it right, and it's really pretty easy to do. And then we'll talk about people who viewed your profile. Let me do that one first. People who viewed your profile, that's a real simple thing. You want to look at those very seriously because each and every one may be a connection for you. They may be a strategic connection for you. So as somebody viewed your profile, in most cases they viewed it for a reason. They need your services. They think you may know something that they need to know. They think you may be a connection. So you want to take a good glance at who they are, and if they're someone that you maybe should connect with. You can go to profile to see who's viewed your profile. Go to mouse over and then go to who's viewed your profile, and it'll bring you to this page. And if you haven't been there a while, it's pretty new. It gives you a graph that tells you by each day how many people are engaging with you and looking at your profile, and it tells me in the last 90 days 111 people have viewed my profile. 23 of them found me on the mobile app. 2 people who work at NNN Brokers USA, Triple Net Lease Brokers, viewed my profile. I don't know who that is. And then 12 actions taken, if you see over here to the side, meaning they clicked in further, they maybe clicked in to get an email, they messaged me, they did something else to connect with me once they came to my profile. So they didn't just leave. There was something there that was enticing to them. And you can see more of this in the paid version, but unless you're in human resources, I really wouldn't suggest the paid version. You can get everything you need out of the free version. So again, you can scroll on down and see some more information there, other people that you may be connected with or should connect with. But that's where you see, and you can also do this one, how you rank for profile views, and it'll tell you what percentage you're in as far as people going to your profile. And that is literally directly connected to how well your profile's filled out. The better it's filled out, the more traffic and people are going to come to your profile, because it's kind of one of those things, because there's a little bit of activity there, it shows up to other people. The more activity, the more it shows up, and it drives traffic to people come and look at your profile. I'm up 6% in the last 30 days. Woohoo! All right. Yes, sir.
A lot of that has to do with activity as far as posting and that sort of thing, correct?
Some content creation, yes. Sharing links, that kind of thing. So we're going to jump to advanced search. You can begin a search right here in the search bar and search for anyone or anything. You're looking for people, jobs, companies, and more. This is, again, LinkedIn is the most powerful people search that is available. If you want to find somebody that works at Company X in any area of the world, because it's very global, there's a higher chance you're going to find them on LinkedIn than if you could just go out to Google and start Googling names. Because you have commonality of names and all of that kind of thing going on, you can narrow it down, search by geographic location, and many different other criteria in order to get to the right person. So the drop down on the left-hand side here will drop down, and you can filter it to you only want to look at people, because when you do a general search, it just searches everything. But you say, no, I'm looking for a person, or I'm looking for a job, I'm looking for a specific company, or groups, or universities, or you can actually search posts. Oh, I saw a great article and I forgot. You can go back and search if you know what was in it, and find in posts, find that article that you saw, or you can search your inbox as well. And typically, just jump in, do a search, and let's see. What's a company that's nearby that somebody would like to do business with? Anyone? Someone that isn't you. Someone that you want to do business with. H? Okay. HSL owner, luggage company? HSL Properties, I'm not getting anything initially. Let's go ahead and search for it. So they may not have a business, or they may not be very well listed. But here's somebody, Marie Josie Burns is the Assistant Community Director at HSL Properties. So immediately right off the bat, we found a person. And then Executive Assistant at HSL. Okay, probably needs a profile picture there. Don't be that person. Let's go on down. Account. So it also shows, if you look here, look at these two, they used to work there. So there may be somebody, depending on who you are, that you want to reach out to them and say, tell me about your the company you used to work for. If it's somebody, you really want to research the company before you approach. I'm really big proponent on non-creepy internet stalking. So is that a good? So if I'm going to do business with you, I'm going to go to Google, I'm going to go to LinkedIn, and I'm going to find out about your company, because then when we get to have a conversation finally, maybe face to face, I get to have coffee with you or lunch or whatever it may be. I want to know as much about the company as I can so that we can have a good conversation. I understand, I can ask you questions and get into some of the things that I found in researching your company. And so it makes it for a better opportunity to connect and close business. If I just take a few minutes, 10 minutes before I go meet with somebody, do a little bit of search, read a little bit about people, and then if you know somebody there, and what you'll find in many cases, and it didn't turn out on this one, I don't have any first level connections there. Sometimes you'll find that you have a first level connection. That's somebody that we're directly connected, not a friend of a friend. And I might be able to give them a jingle and say, hey, tell me about your company and who's the decision maker that decides on your internet marketing. So I can get right past the gatekeeper many times and right to the person who's a decision maker by going through this process. Okay, so let's refine that. So you can choose, if you look here on the sides, it's left open to all. I'm not going to sort that yet, but you can look at relationship and you could say, nah, I only want people that have a first connection and I don't have any, but I have 12 people that have a second connection, one person I'm in a group with, and then third and everyone else, there's an additional 30 that have had or are connected to that company. If you go on down, then you can begin to refine by location, and a quick way to do that is, it says Tucson right there, but if it doesn't populate, you can just click add, and you could even say, I only want to know in Oro Valley, or I only want to know in Marana. for whatever strategic reason. You have that level of filtering on any search that you do. Yes?
Can you filter by zip code?
Not in LinkedIn. You're going to have to, it's city-based. But you do have some pretty robust search. I'm going to jump to advanced because I may prove myself wrong there. So here in advanced, you have so many more things to do. I'm going to check location in advanced, and I'm going to check. Yeah, it won't deliver me a zip. So it's going to have to be city-based. I'd never tried a zip here before. I wanted to make sure. So nonprofit interests, their language, the school they went to, past companies, the industry they're in, the current company where they're with, and obviously locations. And everything that you see with the little yellow is paid version. So if you have the paid version, the entry-level paid version, you get everything that's in the yellow little LinkedIn, which is groups, years of experience, the function they serve, their seniority level, their interests, their company size, and so forth when they join LinkedIn. Most of the time, that paid version is not something that you need. It's a little bit redundant. So you can get by in most cases with the free version. But within this, anybody else think of what would be Bob, maybe for you, what's a good strategic partner that you get referrals from? What kind of industry?
A lot of it comes from residential.
Residential real estate? Okay.
Because a lot of the big companies don't allow them to do commercial real estate.
So I'm going to just put in residential real estate as a generic search term. And initially, it's going to deliver me a lot of jobs and companies. But I can very quickly go to people only. And so this may not be an optimal search. It's a good try. You want to try this search term and then maybe change it up. Begin to read through the profiles and see if you can find any other commonalities that everybody has in their profile so that you can revise the search and then again break it down. There's a lot of people here, but I'm going to go ahead and add the Tucson search.
Well, it just appears that the few people that came up are from Tucson, so I'm wondering if it picks up where your computer is.
Somewhat, and it also based on where your connections are already at, and the majority of my connections are in Tucson, and in most cases it'll deliver who you know first, and then their friends, and then it'll break it on out from there. So first level connections, I can sort it there. There's 150. I'm connected to I do a lot of presentation for real estate groups, so I'm connected to 151 first level people who say they're in real estate or have been in real estate in the past. So I'm going to again go to advanced. It's going to take my existing search, and let's say I want to filter by I don't know what I want to filter by because that's really pretty good right there. I'm gonna say that's a pretty good search. So once I get it to where it's beginning to deliver people that are the people I want to connect with, it's kind of hidden, but right up over here, next to the little tool, it says Save Search. So once you've found a really good, juicy search, you can come over to the Save Search feature, and it allows you 3 saved searches. I've done some others in classes in the past, but if you come right over here to the little check mark, I can say I wanted to be alerted weekly with this list of people. And by alerted, it's going to send me an email when I choose to right over here. You are reaching your current limit. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting close. I get 3 free saved searches. Once you go to the paid version, that expands out and you get a lot more saved searches. So you can see in the past in teaching real estate class, I also have real estate agent there as another search that delivers. So those are going to come to my email once a week. And if I've built a good search, I'm basically getting a leads list that drops into my mailbox once a week. And so I begin to go out and who are those people that are new in the market, that are new to real estate, that have changed companies, changed jobs, etc. That's going to populate to that email list. And then you're going to begin to walk through the processes of connecting with them correctly or connecting with them well. So, any questions? Yes, ma'am.
So when you say you get a leads list dropped into your box each week, it's based on that search that you've set up, and it includes new people that, what do you say, one every 2 seconds that has joined in that last?
Correct. So they join LinkedIn. They just become a person who's in that position. They move from company to company. Any changes that are substantial in a profile in the context of the search you've set up, it'll send that to you in a list of people.
Does it only send you the new ones, or does it send the whole complete list every week?
It sends the whole list. Yeah, and it's not too overwhelming. You can take those, and I'll show you here in a minute. I'm gonna close that out for now, and I'm gonna go to Thomas here. No, actually, I'm gonna go to somebody that's not a first level. First. I'm gonna sort by second level and drop the first level off. So these are people I'm not personally connected to, but I might want to be connected to. So I'm going to skip the first one right off the bat because they don't have a profile picture. And I'm going to come back down to Kathy GarciaWhittier. And I'm going to click on her, and I'm not going to connect with her immediately. So let's just say that in the context of what I do, that maybe I'm Bob and I'm a commercial real estate guy, and I know that residential real estate people, the more I know that are quality people that send me referrals, I know that's a good partnership, so I'm going to develop some more of those relationships. She actually currently works at the National Bank of Arizona, so that might still be a good strategic partnership in funding for loans and that kind of thing. So it still could be a potential good connection, but it's really not fitting this search criteria for somebody who is a real estate agent. Commercial and real estate at Realty Executives, Amos. I'm really looking for residential real estate. So Diane is the first that really meets my criteria of what I'm looking for. She's at Keller Williams, and she was previously at Advertising, Arizona Daily Star, and the Seattle Times. I would know from that she probably is a pretty decent marketer. She's got some marketing background. She's probably pretty good at what she does. I can't attest to that. Maybe she's really mean and doesn't sell a whole lot because of that, but maybe she's great at what she does. And I want to find out because it could mean some good partnerships for me. So I'm not going to go immediately to the connect button. I'm also not going to go and send her an email, and because both of those right off the bat, if we've never met face to face, it's kind of spammy. And she may shut it down right off the bat. She may say, well, I don't know who you are, reject. So you want to increase the odds that she's going to make a connection with you. So I'm going to go right here to the little drop down and click on Get Introduced. LinkedIn has built all of this stuff to do this for you. So I'm going to go Get Introduced. And what it's going to do for me is it's going to give me a list of our shared connections. So who does she have a first level connection with that I have a first level connection with? So right off the bat, Betsy from Tucson College. We both know one another. So by choosing her, here's what I'm doing. It says, hey, Betsy, and it auto-populates. Hey, Betsy, could you introduce me to Diana? And so you can go ahead and send some more message. I think she would be a good strategic partner for me. I think I could refer her some business and potentially the other, or whatever you would want to say in that in order to get that introduction. And if you look, you go on down the list. So I also know Pete and Deneve, and so there's several people that I know that knows Diane. So I can definitely increase my odds if I get an introduction, but if I get 2 or 3 introductions, I may seriously increase my odds of making that connection in a good strategic partnership. And that you see how easy this is. 5 minutes. You can walk in, go to search, do what I just did, or go to your email that's populating, click on it and say, there's a new person. Go to their profile. So I'm going to walk back and do that slow again. So I went from my search. I found Diane, and then I'm going to go right here. There's a little drop down that pops that box up. You can view her recent activity, get introduced, find references, share her profile, save it, block it, or save to contacts. So I can save it to my contacts without us being directly connected, because I may want to warm the contact up a little bit before I ask to make the contact. So it's the old school. I mean, you drop a postcard in the mail before you walk in the door somewhere. You've warmed things up. Maybe you made a phone call on top of that. You warm the lead up to where when they walk in, they go, oh, yeah, I know you. You're that guy. And maybe we interacted on another social platform or something. So I'm increasing the odds that we're going to be able to do business together. But go back to get introduced. I'm going to click on get introduced. It takes me to my inbox. And then you choose who do you want to make the introduction. I'm going to click on it, and then it's going to show me our shared connection. And in this case, I have definitely at least 3 people who I know personally who could make an introduction for me. And it prompts them to do that. So when I send this to them, it's automatically going to say, hey, Mike would like you to introduce Diane, would like you to introduce him to Diane. And then he just has to click and say something, and off it goes. So it's automated process built for this very thing we're talking about in order to make the right contact. Who are those strategic people that you're writing down? This should be one of your goals this year. I'm going to find 5 people who are great strategic partners at what I do, and I'm going to farm them through LinkedIn, and this is the process I'm going to take. So you begin thinking about who they are, discovering what companies they might work for, walking through this process, and begin that search process. And then here's the other thing that I can do. I'm going to go back to her profile again. And you can go, you can see a little bit more information about her skills, where she went to school, all of the stuff that she makes available to everybody publicly. And I can go right here to this star, which was the same as on the drop down, and I can save it to my contacts. So now it pops up this other little box right here. And so I can make myself a note. Hey, I asked for this introduction from this person and this person. So you're taking notes on your leads process. I mean, it literally is a lead generation system that's built right into LinkedIn that almost nobody uses. But it's a really brilliant program. So she's in my contacts at this point. I can set a reminder to take the next step of contact in a week. Come back on Monday, and here's what I want you to do, whatever that next step is. Search her on Google to see what other social media platforms she's on. If it's other professional platforms, I may eventually connect there. I would keep Facebook at the very back of that list, because for a lot of people, Facebook is very personal. So we don't want to go personal until maybe we've met them and got to know them a little bit, because that can be creepy. I mean, we don't want to be creepy, right? Creepers are bad. We don't want creepers. Yes?
What's the percentage of likelihood for the people you ask to introduce you that they will actually do that, would you say?
You're going to be in the 50 percentile based on how well you know the person you're asking for the introduction. If it's somebody that you do business with and you're some kind of trusted relationship, which I hope you have more and more and more of, then you're going to increase your odds of that happening. But half the time, people don't even open their LinkedIn and they don't realize there's something there for them to do. But it is one of the reasons I do love LinkedIn. If you get that notification on LinkedIn, it's also going to send them an email copy of that contact that you've asked for. So it's got redundancy that helps to be a little bit more effective. Sure.
but she's chosen, well, in this situation, to be Diane.
Yeah, it would, well, keep, this will help, I think, in explaining that. Just like on Facebook, LinkedIn has two different personas. You create everything, if you're doing it right, from a profile. You create you, the person, and do all the stuff that we've talked about. There's another segment that we haven't talked about. We'll see if we have time at the end. But there's business pages that you can post and create content from. If you have yourbusiness.com, you can have a business listing like those that you saw coming up, and you can create all of the information for your company that's pertinent as well. And so a lot of that information is going to be redundant information, but it searches even higher on a business page if you do that. But you got to have you at yourbusiness.com in order to create a business on LinkedIn.
So if they find out, for instance, I did a Mr. Electric, I couldn't remember the owner's name, so I couldn't search by the owner of the company. I
Yep.
got the company name.
Yeah.
What comes up, I found out, is somewhat of a franchise, so it gives me a list, the one in Tucson.
Okay.
And ultimately, I should be able to find that individual that is with that company.
Right.
Even that business list.
Right. So you can save the search at any point. So maybe you want to leave it at business because you may want to target all of the franchise owners under the context of that brand, or it may be that specific individual that you're looking for. Based on what you're looking for is how you save that search, but it's important that you don't do it backwards and create a profile as a business, because it doesn't work well, it doesn't function well, and people who know LinkedIn well say, well, they obviously don't know what they're doing. And it goes to a trust factor then if you do it wrong. Okay. Other questions? I'm not trying to cop out. It always does depend on what's your purpose, and you need to know what that is before you venture down the road of any social media, or you'll definitely do it wrong. Yes.
If you go to 2 or 3 different people you know and ask them to make the introduction and they haven't opened their LinkedIn file or they just don't do it, what's your step?
For me, I'd go ahead and pick up the phone or text, depending on how that person communicates with me. I try to determine how everybody communicates with me best, and I even ask that question. Do you prefer phone, text, email, Facebook, whatever it may be? So I'm going to reach out to them. If this is a lead that I want, and I know it could be a great partnership for me, I'm going to go ahead and do the legwork, make a phone call, say, hey, would you get into your LinkedIn account? And if you need, I'll have some coffee with you, and I'll show you how, if you need any help with it, kind of thing. So that you're kind of encouraging them to help you. And then even ask, hey, thank you for doing this referral for me. Is there anybody I can help you get introduced to? And ask for reciprocate. So it works, but again, I would say the vast majority of LinkedIn users don't realize this exists. So you guys are going to be cutting edge. You're going to be right on the top of the LinkedIn game. All right. So we talked about search. Let's take a moment and look at business. So I'm going to go to companies here, and if you look over here are the companies that I am a part of and I am connected to, and I'll scroll down slowly, and you can see this is my business listing. You can see my recent updates, and if you notice, I published them as onlinebizsmarts.com. It's not coming out as from Michael. I'll go back and maybe share this as Michael, but I originate that content when it comes to business content as my brand page. And you're going down, you'll see some other content that we've turned out over the last days and weeks. And if you look over on the right-hand side, here under See More, you'll see that, again, there's a vast amount of space that they give you for putting your business information, what industry you're in, what services do you provide, what is it that you do as a business to serve the consumer and then it moves into recent updates. See less. But you got to have a yourcompany.com, .org, whatever that is. It's got to be a professional business email for them to allow you to create it. And if you work in a bigger corporation, sometimes it's created automatically, and then you have to go through a claim process, or somebody may already have control of it. But I can go right here and begin to create content as my business. And then you'll have analytics here that tells you from your content how many impressions you've got, how much engagement you have. So here's something, it's an opinion, and I had a lot of engagement on, and it's just text. What's your opinion? What's the most common marketing mistake businesses make? So we asked that question, and I got quite a bit of engagement on it. Another piece is, like as well on Facebook, I can sponsor this update. So I can pay to have that update show up more often in front of people. I can also select the people I would like that to show up for. So I can target my target demographic through ads on LinkedIn. They're a little bit pricey in the context if you were advertising on Google or if you were advertising on Facebook. So it's a consideration to make as to whether you would want to spend some dollars there. Test drive it, see if it works for you. It could be very effective in getting your company found. So let me toggle back, make sure I'm not missing anything. We talked about potential leads, saving searches, advanced search. All right, so let's go on to event and contact follow-up. So if you're a networker, like me, I go to a lot of medium and big events to meet people and get introduced to people who I might potentially do business with. But I find that most people don't marry the digital world connection to this process of networking very well. So if I go to an event and we meet and we get to have a good conversation, I've already streamlined past all of the warming up part, and I can probably go ahead and make an introduction to you. We've met, we've seen face to face, and it's probably okay to ask for a connection at that point. But you may still want to add some additional layers to that. Remember something from the conversation. Don't leave the pat invite that's built into the system. Spend a little time and search for them on other social sites. Like, comment, and share their content on LinkedIn as well as other sites. And find common ground. So anytime I do an invite to somebody to connect with me on LinkedIn, I personalize that message. That default message, people know what that is right off the bat. So I want to change that up, and if at all possible, I'm going to mention something that we talked about, ask you about your family we talked about, or whatever we had in common that we had in our conversation. It was great talking to you at the event the other night. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I might even suggest that, hey, I'd like you to consider meeting me for breakfast, coffee, lunch, and let me buy you lunch, and I'd love to know more about your business and get to know you a little bit better. So those kinds of things can increase the potential that you're going to get this person into a referral status with you, or driving business, or hiring you to do work for them. So it's worth spending the time to go ahead, instead of just pet peeve moment, this is my soapbox moment. So I go to a lot of those events, and people gather up your business cards, and then the next week after, you're suddenly on 18 new email lists, getting newsletters from people. Well, number one, email is permission marketing, and nobody ever asked my permission to send me that junk. Okay? I may even want what you're talking about, but it's permission marketing. Get permission before you start sending an email out. It's just the norm, the standard. Make sure that you do that. And basically, it could still be an email. Hey, I'm Mike with Online Biz Smarts, and would you consider joining my email list? And you can send that out through your email platform. I'm going to be providing you this, and this on a weekly basis, a monthly basis. Be honest about how often you're going to send stuff out. And then it has a button at the bottom where they can go ahead and verify their email as to whether yes or no they're going to take an email from you. So get those permissions. But the important thing is that come back to your LinkedIn. Try to find this person on LinkedIn. You've got a business card, hopefully, and an email list, and an email that you can search on LinkedIn, and try to find the person and then find that common ground and things that you have in common. Ask for the introduction on LinkedIn, because then it's not weird. You've met them. You've seen face-to-face. It's a lot less of that creepy mode than if you just do a blank request and you've never seen them and don't know them or any of that kind of thing. Any questions on that? Networking, how to marry the two together. The other thing I strongly suggest is to do a Google search and find what else they're involved with, because you may be startled and it may change your mind on whether you want to connect with that person or not, as to what else they're involved in online. Or it may go the opposite direction. Oh my gosh, we both like to make model airplanes or whatever that is. I don't, but in case that's your thing, it's okay. It's not too weird. But you may find that in common. Yes?
So what's another approach if you're trying to reach out to people outside of the local area, like more on a national basis?
Right. Right.
Maybe connected through LinkedIn, I've got quite a few contacts.
Yeah.
But some of these people I've never met.
Right. So that's definitely a lot harder. But still the same would apply as far as research. So perfect example, if you've, anybody read any of Gary Vaynerchuk's marketing materials? Read his materials. Probably don't go to a presentation because he uses a lot of expletives, really annoys people. But he writes really clean. And he's really brilliant at what he does. So he wrote a book called Jab, 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 Right Hook. Is his latest. And the whole idea is that in the internet marketing world, you're putting out stuff that people wants to see, people want to connect with. You're not deal closing all the time. Here's some valuable information. Here's some more valuable information. Here's some inspiration for you in your life. And then every 10th one is, hey, I'm having a thing over here and I'd love for you to come. But that's the jab, 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 right hook idea. So anyway, he gave an example at a recent event, and he did a great job of really researching this person online. And this was the CEO of a big company, and he wanted to do his social media with his marketing company. So he researched the company, and he found out that they had a common interest in baseball, and he was very active on Twitter. So he began to have a active conversation, because he too is a very avid baseball fan, and they both happened to be in New York. One was a Yankees fan, one's a Mets fan. So they having a fun dialogue. They kept it civil, and eventually he warmed the lead to get an introduction, and then closed that business. And I believe he said that one was like $22 million. So the idea of just warming the lead, and it's not always going to work because not everybody's active on social media, but it can work, and it's worth doing the legwork and searching that person out and finding out more about them. Good question, because not everybody's doing business right here in the market. I have businesses that I do work for that are all over the place. And so I work more local. My strategy is local, but people call me from a lot of other places to do work for them. All right. Moving ahead, getting connected. As I said, request introductions, just like we walked through before. Find that person's profile, request introductions. Never use the default LinkedIn language on your invitation. Change it up. Make a connection. And keep in mind what's in it, the idea of WIFM, what's in it for me. People want to know what's in it for me. So you need to explain in your invitation to me, you're inviting me to connect, what's in it for me. You've got to tell me that in order to get me to connect. So the better you do that, and it's honest, you're not saying something that you're then not going to deliver, because I do meet with people, and I love connecting businesses to one another. I love doing that. If I can connect two people together that can either do business or refer each other business, I feel like that's a huge win. So I do want to know more about people's businesses, and I tell them that, and I want to know who do I know that I could connect you with that could refer business to you. And maybe we're strategic partners, maybe we're not, maybe I know somebody who is, but I'd like to get to know you more in order to find that out. So that kind of introduction is honest. I have integrity. I plan on delivering that, and I don't think anybody in most cases is going to turn that down if you ask in the context of that, and then deliver on what you say. But lean into why would they want to connect with you, and give them a good reason to make that connection. Don't spam. So you're ready to start selling, right? No. So here's a perfect example of that. This is another one of my soapbox pet peeves. This mortgage person, loan person, connected with me on LinkedIn. And I had met her at an event, so cool. Met her at an event. She said, hey, I'd like to connect with you. So I said, sure. We connected online, and immediately, within like 5 minutes, I got a private message in my box trying to sell me. I hate that. It just drives me nuts, because you didn't want to connect with me. You just wanted to sell me something. And that's different. That feels icky versus, no, I'd like to, get to know you, warm up the connection. So if she had made an introduction, say, hey, I'd like to know more about your business and what you do. How about if we have coffee next Tuesday? Or I'm going to this event, consider coming, and I'd like to chat with you about, your business and what you do and the services you provide. So she's asking a question that's going to hook me. I'm going to follow through, and I wouldn't feel icky about the connection that we just made. So I have to fight I have to resist not responding and saying, stop spamming. But I really want to say that because it's how it feels. And I promise you, I see a lot of heads nodding that you agree. So within that, keep that in mind in how you make your connections and how you reach out to people. I did not reply. Build relationships, add value, no strings attached. In your no sales message, no underlying sales message, take it offline. So you've done enough to warm the lead, meet for coffee, meet for business, whatever is then next. Earn the right to offer your products. And so we're going to talk about more questions. So one of the other things I would say is consider that you have expertise in whatever field that you're in. You might have some very valuable information that if it were put on paper or in a book, you might be able to take a piece of that and put it into a PDF. And then when you connect with people, say, hey, I'd like to offer you this. I'm not trying to sell you. I just would like to give this to you. No strings attached, providing valuable information that people want to know. If you can do that, it's another great way to warm up the lead and to get to a place where you can get to a decision maker or a decision based on, I literally am not trying to sell you this. Here you go, free. Doesn't cost you anything. It's valuable information that I know about my industry. And so in that warm-up process, the more you can provide without asking for the sale. I'm not saying not to do that. There's a time for that. When you make the pitch and ask for the sale, all of that goes back to great sales, but warm the lead enough to where they're willing to open their ears and hear the pitch and then ask for the close. All right, let's jump back into LinkedIn and any other questions, because I am definitely not covering everything as far as LinkedIn. I didn't even touch on groups. Oh, come on, I didn't cover that much. Got to have a couple questions. Yes?
For someone like me who's a dinosaur at this sort of thing, do you recommend just going on there and kind of just run through it and get used to it, if you know it?
Yeah, and so also another resource for you will be, this is recorded. If I said anything that really, connected to you, what did he say and where did he navigate? Just run through that video on YouTube and get to that point and kind of navigate you through the places I went. But yes, the answer is as well, go through, explore, kind of look around and see where everything's at so that you can become comfortable with it. Because really the biggest deal on all of these platforms is getting comfortable where stuff is, to where you can be confident in what you're doing and how to get what you want out of it when you need to get it out of it. I need to get in touch with this person. How do I do that? So discover that process and then explore some more beyond there. Good question. What else? You guys are experts already. You're going to be trying this tonight, right? Or not? Okay. Well, thank you guys very much, and I hope that you have some great takeaways today that you can apply. I'm always available. I'm easy to get in contact with, so if you get stuck, just reach out to me. I'll walk you through it on the phone, or we'll meet for coffee, and I'll walk you through it. I'd be happy to help with any of this process for you. Yes?
Where on YouTube can we locate this?
So this will be on my website. As soon as my hosting is uncrashed, it crashed just before the meeting, and we had to change the streaming platform. But it's onlinebizsmarts.com, and you can just the little social media icons. Click on YouTube, and you're right on my channel. This will be right at the top of the channel, or it's very searchable. Just type LinkedIn on my channel. You'll go right to it and about 50 other presentations that I've done on LinkedIn. So there's a lot of valuable resource on my YouTube channel. Facebook, I've probably got 100 hours of Facebook video on that YouTube channel. Thank you, guys. That's it. You bet.